President Bola Tinubu disclosed that his administration is fulfilling its promise to Nigerians to make Nigeria a global powerhouse in agriculture. Tinubu stated this during the launch of the Renewed Hope Agricultural Mechanization Program in Abuja on Monday. He said the refunds are being introduced by his administrations for aimed at making farming more sexy to young Nigerians. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu promised players in the real estate sector in Nigeria that his administration will add value to lands and building through construction of access roads. He said this when he commissioned the 15-kilometer A2 Junction Road in Pai community in the nation's capital, Abuja, on Monday. The president said the federal government infrastructural development drive was aimed at benefit of the people and elevating the standard of living. Vice President Kashim Shettima called for urgent integration of Africa's vast informal economy into the formal sector, formal trade ecosystem, stressing that the sustainable continental prosperity under the African continental free trade area hints on the empowerment of micro, small and medium enterprises. Speaking at the opening of the 4th African Union MSMEs forum in Abuja on Monday, the Vice President declared that the African part is a prosperous future lies not in high-rising buildings or financial indices, but in unlocking the immense potential of the informal sector, which employs nearly 90% of continent's workforce. Away from that, still on Monday Stories, Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa said that hunger and poverty are no longer mere social vices, challenges, but has become national security threat. Musa stated this at the opening of the 14th National Security Seminar organized by the Alumni Association of National Defense College in Abuja on Monday. Begging pardon away from that, the Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, advised the ECOWAS courts to be mindful of the unique legal context of member states when issuing judgment. Fagbemi gave the advice on Monday at the opening of the inaugural meeting of ECOWAS competent national authorities held in Lagos to address the enforcement of court's judgment. The AGF, who was represented by Mr. Nana Ibom, Director International and Cooperative Law, Federal Ministry of Justice, lamented that the law enforcement rate of court's ruling. He said that the court must adopt strategies to strengthen its jurisdictions, appreciate the jurisdictional boundaries, and limit unnecessary conflict with domestic laws of member states. Let's look at stories that made the news for Tuesday. On Tuesday, the Gates Foundation announced a commitment of $1.6 billion over the next 5 years to support Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, one of the most effective mechanism for delivering life-saving vaccines to children and preventing disease in the world's most vulnerable communities. This was disclosed on the Foundation's website on Tuesday. The Foundation renewed support comes amid a global crisis. It noted that international development programs have been severely impacted by declining budget and shifting political priorities. It further noted that after years of stagnation, foreign assistance plummeted this year, prompting at risk the hard-won progress and child survival and public health made over the last 25 years. Still on Children Health, United Nations Children Funds restated the commitment to promoting ethical reporting on child's rights. Mr. Josephson says an officer in charge of UNICEF Medigiri Field Office stated there is virtually at a one-day media dialogue on Tuesday in Damaturu, Yobe State. He said that dialogue was aimed at refreshing journalists' understanding of government and water sanitation and hygiene. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory Wike Nyesom Wike attributed the success of recent infrastructure project in Abuja to the support of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, using pidgin English proverb to express the importance of presidential backing. Speaking on Tuesday during the commissioning of the newly constructed right-hand service carriage in Abuja, the minister praised Tinubu's leadership, stating that the visible transformation in the capital is a direct result of his commitment. The former Rivers governor expanded the metaphor while urging the president not to relent in his support. And that's about the stories that was in the news for Tuesday. Let's look at stories now that made the headline for Wednesday. The Senate passed the 2025 budget of Rivers State, totaling 1.485 trillion naira, following the third reading of appropriation bill on the Senate floor on Wednesday. The passage came after the upper chambers considered the report of the Outer Committee on Rivers State during the Committee of Supply sections. The bill seeks to authorize the issuance of 1.485 trillion naira from the Consolidated Revenue Funds of Rivers State for the fiscal year 2025. The approved budget breakdown includes 120.8 billion naira for debt servicing, 287.38 billion naira for recurrent non-debt expenditure, and 1.077 trillion naira for capital expenditure. House of Representatives has called on federal government through the National Emergency Management Agency to urgently provide relief materials to families displaced as a result of recent evasion of Yawada community, Benue State, by yet to be arrested gunmen. Over 200 Nigerians were recently killed when armed men invaded communities with sophisticated weapons and unleashed terror. The resolution of the House followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance during Wednesday's plenary, sponsored by the member representing Makurdi Goma Federal Constituency, Mr. Dixon Taki. The lawmaker noted that apart from those who lost their lives following the June 14 invasion of 200 of the other community, thousands of residents have been displaced, leading to their humanitarian situation marked by loss of lives, destruction of properties, and widespread dissolution. The motion was supported by the Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, who presided over Wednesday's plenary, who was put to a voice vote. Away from that, Independent National Electoral Commission expressed readiness to publish names and details of 110 associations seeking registrations as political parties in Nigeria. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu disclosed this at the second quarterly consultative meeting with media executives in Abuja. Professor Yakubu revealed that the Commission had received letters of intent from 110 associates following its laws and guidelines. The Commission further highlighted activities lined up for the FCT area council election, Anambra State governorship election, by-election and continuous voters registration, which will be announced publicly within 24 hours. INEC, however, appeals to media organizations to promptly upload applications for accreditation for the Anambra State governorship election to facilitate the timely processing and delivery of accreditation tags. Nigerian army killed scores of bandits after an attack in Bangi community in Mariga, local government area of Niger State. Bandit had on Tuesday, June 24, 2025, launched an attack in the community, prompting a swift military response to utilize a land and air component to eliminate the bandits. Army spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Abolona Anele said in a statement on Wednesday that the operation against the bandit was based on credible intelligence, which led to the forest. Lieutenant Colonel Anele. You're listening to Retrospect on Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja. We'll be right back after this break. Don't go away. Did you miss out on the news during the week? Not to worry. Retrospect is here to make up for the missed information. Retrospect is a complete package of all the major news headlines that made the airwaves from Sunday to Saturday. Join me, Esther Nwusu, on the program Retrospect on Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja every Sunday at 6 p.m. Retrospect. We keep you informed. Did you miss out on the news during the week? Not to worry. Retrospect is here to make up for the missed information. Retrospect is a complete package of all the on Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja every Sunday at 6 p.m. Retrospect. We keep you informed. It's good to know when you're still there. We're still Retrospect on Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja. Now let's look at stories that made the headline for Thursday. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu signed 4 tax reform bills into law. President Tinubu signed the laws in his office at the State House Abuja on Thursday, in the presence of relevant stakeholders from across the arms of government. The new laws include the Nigerian tax law, the Nigerian Tax Administration Law, the National Revenue Service Establishment Law, and the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Law. Earlier on Thursday, President Tinubu had explained that the laws would be unifying Nigeria's fragmented tax system, removing redundant overlaps, boosting investors' confidence, enhancing transparency, and promoting coordinated effort across all levels. He also described the legislation as a clear departure from previous policies, emphasizing that the reforms are designed to ease the burden on working families, small businesses, and low-income earners while eliminating the inefficiencies that have long plagued the Nigerian fiscal structure. The Nigerian leader explained that with the new tax reform laws, Bola Tinubu-led administration is now laying the foundation for a tax regime that is fair, transparent, and fit for modern, ambitious Nigeria. Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu called for collective national effort in combating substance abuse and illicit drug trafficking, declaring that the fight must go beyond government initiative to become a grassroots-driven movement. The president made the call in his keynote address at the grand finale of the 2025 World Drug Day commemoration, held on Thursday at the Presidential Villa Conference Center, Abuja. His message was delivered by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume. Away from that, Vice President Kashim Shettima on Thursday departed Abuja for Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, on an official state invitation of the Prime Minister of Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Dr. Abiy Ali. A statement by the spokesperson for the Vice President, Mr. Stalin Kwocha, said that during the visit, Shettima will participate in the official launch of the Ethiopia Green Legacy Program, a flagship environmental initiative. He explained that the program was designed to combat deforestation, enhance biodiversity, and mitigate the adverse effect of climate change, targeting the planting of 20 billion tree seedlings over a 4-year period. Nkwacha said that in line with the strengthening bilateral ties in agriculture and industrial development, Shettima will also embark on strategy tour of key industrial zones. He also said the Vice President would tour the integrated agricultural facility across selected regions of Ethiopia. The Senate on Thursday confirmed Oludare Sunday and Kabir Kataka as the new Managing Director and Executive Director of the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation. The confirmation followed the presentation of a report by the Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions, chaired by Senator Adetokunbo Abire, APC Legacy, urging the Senate to approve the nomination at the NDIC, an institution critical to the stability of Nigerians' banking system. Away from the Minister of Education, Dr. Murafi Olatunji Alausa has called for urgent release of budget allocation from the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation to improve services in the federal government-owned unity schools across the country, especially in the area of feeding. The minister made the call while hosting the Accountant General of the Federation, Mr. Shamsuddin Ogunjimi, who paid a courtesy visit to the federal ministry in Abuja. Alausa stated that the delay in release of overhead has led to the inability of the ministry to fund the feeding of unity schools. The ministry had to delay resumption of some unity schools due to inadequate funds and urged AGF to help fast-track payment by proposing for quarterly release of overheads instead of current month-end release. A wave of Nigerian-made innovation has emerged from landmark research initiative supported by the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, underscoring potentials of homegrown solutions to address both local and global challenges. Executive Secretary of TED Fund, Architect Sonia Cheno, at the Science Granting Council's Initiative Demo Day and closing ceremony held in Abuja, lauded the innovations, describing them as testament to the country's research capabilities and social and commercial potentials. Cheno emphasized that the Demo Day was a celebration of Nigerians' capacity to lead the innovations through the combined strength of academia, government, and industry, known as Triple Helix Synergy. In his remarks, the Ministry of Communications, Innovations, and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosu Tijani, commended TED Fund's leadership in aligning innovations with national priorities. And on that note, we end the stories that made the headline for Thursday. Now let's look at stories that was in the news for Friday. Looks like the end is now in sight over the political crisis in Rivers State, as LCT Minister Nelson Wike says he and the suspended governor of the state, Siminalayi Fubara, have agreed to work together. Wike, who spoke after a meeting with Fubara, President Bola Tinubu, and suspended members of Rivers Assembly, said that though he had disagreement with the governor, the parties have now settled their differences. The LCT minister, who is the immediate past governor of the state, said there is no more acrimony. Away from that, federal government has flagged off a nationwide Grow What You Eat at the flag up ceremonies of the North Central Region, held at government school Government Girls Secondary School in FCT, the Minister Program designed to reintroduce and revitalize school farming in the nation's senior secondary schools. Represented by the Deputy Director of Science and Technology Department, the Federal Ministry of Education, Mr. Kainde Olu Osenike, the Minister commended NSSEC for taking bold steps to align education with national priorities in food security, particular skills development and youth empowerment. Still on educational matters, the Minister of Education, Dr. Muraf Olatunji Alausa, says the Bridge Initiative, short for Bridging Research in Innovations, Development and Global Engagement, is a key step in harnessing the skills of Nigerian professionals in diaspora to drive growth in the country's education and health sector. The minister said this when he received the chairman, CEO of Nigerians and Diaspora Commission, Honorable Abike Dabrewa, during a strategic meeting on strengthening diaspora engagement. Dr. Alausa explained that the Bridge Initiative includes a digital dashboard developed by the Ministry of Education to connect diaspora professionals with local institutions. Honorable Abike Dabrewa, Chairman, CEO, Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, applauded the ministry's foresight and described the Bridge platform as a timely and necessary innovation for deepening diaspora engagement. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is embarking on two-nation visit to St. Lucia